Hello and welcome back to the Jody journey, where I've been discussing a more colorful aspect of my journey, what I call the Jody vision. And that's everything to the vision I hold, to the visions I've had. And so the one that I've been talking about most has been the Billy visions. And in my last video, I was talking about how the impact it's been having on me that kind of bugs me to this day. Is it something that has been kind of keeping me lonely and kind of keeping me angry too. And I think the when I think about it, the song comes to mind. I feel angry, I feel alone. Right? That it's done something to kind of ruin my life a little bit, and it could be a blessing in disguise. So as I look back in hindsight, I could be getting a valuable education from my guiding beings that are working with me with this visionary state. So this in itself is super important to me, that we can go to visionary state and we can see the future, we can obtain information that's remote to us and all that good stuff. But what's scary is sometimes that information can be misleading, and that's kind of what this whole story's been about. Is I feel like it's been getting me interested in a boy named Billy, who I later discovered was Bill Lieb. And it took like a 16-year process practically to get me to go ahead and write them. And it's been 25 years since this has happened. And it's still bothering me because in a ways I feel like it's left me empty-handed. I've had to struggle a lot, but I feel like I have a type of karma or something where I'm being put through a type of spiritual training, and it's tailored just to my specific needs. That's why I've been saying, that if anything, Billy was the perfect person to play this role in my vision, even if it's not something we can take for face value. So the whole challenge with these visions is, so this person's been put before me, and I've been asked how I feel about marrying him, or if I love him at all, starting from 1982. So that was the second time we went over to Rosie's in my visions, and I got to play with Billy alone outside. That's what he asked me. And so I've never seen it in the future or anything like that, but I was asked, and then I was told that it's going to happen someday. Now, they didn't tell us when. And then when we seen Rosie last, she said we're not going to see each other for a very long time. We're going to be much older, but, again, didn't say by how much. But then I have seen Billy a couple more times in those visions. And then in reality, once I discovered him, there was always a lot of doubt there. Like, I don't think this guy's going to be interested in me. But in 98, I had another vision. So the connection with Billy and Rosie, she was the one in the visions that introduced me to him, or seemed to be his guardian. But in reality, they didn't know each other. She's just like the only person who tolerates letting me talk about this. Like, so the other problem I've had with this visionary stuff is I feel like it's turned a lot of people against me, or just makes a lot of people, it triggers people to want to just, yell at me and tell me to knock it off, okay? So, and it's also made great ammunition for people that want to prove me, to be, a crazy person. But anyways, so that's where you go, well, what's all this for anyways, because I felt like, I'm being asked, how would I feel about marrying someone like that? And then I kind of find out, he really doesn't seem to be interested, so it doesn't seem possible. I mean, that's the key element. This person has to be interested. And he seems to be committed to his life partner that he's been involved with since, like, 82. That's funny, the thing is, my vision started in 82. I think that's the year they got married, so if I remember right. But they've broken up and gotten back together. But from what I understand, this is like a couple of people who've always been friends to each other, so it's almost like, when you have an old friend, they're almost like family to you. So I can appreciate that very much. And so so this just doesn't seem like, something that's ever going to happen. But the idea is being created that, like, to this day, what if Bill Lieb showed up at this door and knocked, and I come to answer, there he is, and that's what he wanted. Like, he came to my house, and the first thing out of his mouth is that he should marry me or something like this. And so that's the kind of the paradigm being construed by these visions is like, even then, what if this happened to you? Then what would you do? So maybe that's a good question, and it's kind of fun to answer that, because the easy answer is like, well, of course I would. I mean, if he was that interested, I mean, after all the stuff I've been through and all that, like now, the thing that seems wrong is, how do you know you love somebody if you haven't really spent any significant amount of time with them? And so that's where, overall, I like to think my visionary training contains a lot of lessons in discernment, but this may also be our lesson in love, so like not only do I have to deal with a lot of lessons in love, but so does Bill Lieb. Now the difference between him and I is I'm usually single and he's usually in a relationship. And since I've come to Rosie, she's also somebody that's always been in a relationship, but I feel like she's like a love master, like maybe I came here to go through this process, of having to deal with the Billy visions, because she's a love master, and something that she and I have in common is before she married her second husband, well, she was having visions about him, but they were like future visions where they were together, and so when she met him, it felt like they knew each other already, and it's kind of driving her crazy. She just couldn't stop thinking about this man, because she was still married to somebody else, and he was married to somebody else, and well, funny thing is both those people got the divorce at the same time, and then she reconnected with them just at the right time, and they got married, and I think they had a pretty good and meaningful relationship. Now he wanted to be with other women. No, he wanted to be married, but then have as many women as want to live together. If they think, they want a man that's married and have like, I don't know. She didn't like it. It just wasn't working for her, and that's pretty much. So it's kind of weird, they did have a meaningful relationship, but it ended, and they stayed friends, like they seen each other again and stuff, but like, so just to share a little bit about Rosie, I think her third husband was, this sounds like an important soulmate, and you think this is special. This is the guy I've been talking about, Howard, who was also in my vision. He was the Zen man that I think I inherited some really cool stuff from, and then here I am. I feel like, my parallel in life is, I've been in the Asian martial arts and stuff, so it's interesting that I inherited Howard's thing. So Howard's pretty, that relationship seemed very meaningful, and but even then, like since I come to join Rosie, since Howard died, we found her a guy named Gary, and that seemed like it was meant to be, like they were meant to get together before they died, and so she demonstrated to me in some ways that like, like you may not just find like one meaningful person, you may have different relationships with different people that are just as significant. And so maybe if somebody felt like, say, if Bill Lee was feeling an urge to leave his wife or something, it's not unusual, maybe there's a lot of people that have other mates out there they need to find, so especially if you're an old soul, so maybe that's where, like I mentioned that those two broke up and got back together, so just reflecting on, this, this whole story kind of gives me a way to look at like how I feel about the whole idea of getting married, So I've often thought this is like a block for me. It's kind of keeping me alone. But the good news is it's kept me from marrying the wrong guy, at least. So I'd rather be single than married to the right guy. But if I ever did get married, I definitely know what I want and don't want in a relationship. So maybe if anything, good old Billy Lee is another way of kind of learning yourself, for myself. It's maybe it's not fair to bring him up in my story, but he's just been the one who was in my visions, and so he was the person put in front of me, and I kind of feel conscientious about talking about him, but he is the one in my visions, and then I come to meet him, and so I like to think maybe it was meant to be a learning experience, because earlier on I was saying it's like a curse, like I was tricked into going someplace I didn't belong, and it turned into a hurting experience, but there's a couple important things I need to learn from that, and so as we're going through like these lessons in love, I want to mention that Bill has written a couple of songs on this one album, and one was called Hatevol. It's the word hate and the word love backwards, and it sounds like the word hateful. So I thought that was pretty clever, because it's a song about how people say they love you, but it doesn't seem like they really mean it, because when you need them, they're nowhere to be found. So it sounds to me like Bill's had people say that they love him. Maybe if this is a personal song, then maybe he's felt like people say they love you and they don't really mean it. And especially when you're counting on it, right? So, and then another song he did was something about, making love to an alien and they thought it was a girl. I think that might be the opposite, kind of like where you fall in love with someone's facade, like maybe you never really loved them, but you thought you did until you got to know who they really are. And so that's where we come back to, how do you know you love Bill Leeb? Well, it's really, maybe it's something that, like, what if, he came to the door and all that stuff, and then I married him, and I found out I didn't really love him. Maybe I was tricked into it. Anyways, it's kind of funny when I think about how, I was kind of tricked into going for somebody who isn't really available. It kind of makes me think of an old joke, like when I was in middle school, somebody came over to me and said this guy was interested in me, and so I went over to meet him, and he was like, "Oh hell no!" Like he was not interested in me, and he thought I was ugly and everything. It's kind of a mean joke. And then I had this other friend. She would what you call she'd show me something cool and say, "Hey Jody, you like this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like that." Like, "You want it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want that." She's like, "Tough." And so I feel like this seems to be kind of a mean joke, like, so kind of putting Bill Leeb in front of me and saying, "Hey Jody, you like this?" Like, "Yeah, I like him." "You want this?" "Yeah, I want this." Tough. So I don't know, like, that's why, I feel like 25 years later, I'm still kind of like chewing on this, and that's where, like, this could be like a personal issue. Like, I just need to, like, resolve this personal issue, because it's kind of, it's kind of hurtful to me. Maybe I built up all the sentiment and everything, because, like, just some time ago, like a month or so ago, it seemed like I was just thinking about this and how, like, I may never see this person again, and never have a friendship and all that stuff. And it's almost like when somebody dies or something, it's almost like I felt so much, deep sorrow that I'm never gonna see him again, that I was crying and everything. But who knows? Maybe it's just other issues, underlying issues, like maybe having my ups and downs. But I feel sincerely like deeply sad. Like, I shouldn't care about somebody I have never really spent significant amount of time with. But I've been feeling deeply sad about this, so I've been kind of in the process, I guess, as I'm sorting out my things and getting ready for the next stage in my life. I have to kind of come to terms with the fact that I may never see this person again. And so I wanted to share a collection of cartoons I made along the way that kind of share some of my frustration and everything. So it's been a frustrating and painful experience, but at the same time, I want to approach all of this with a sense of humor, and so I want to put this in perspective, where, so, like, my overall conversation at the moment has been how, okay, I'm being challenged with the question of, would I marry this person? And I'm coming right out and saying I probably would, and in a roundabout way, it's kind of embarrassing, because, like, it's probably never going to happen anyways, but at the same time, it's kind of a release. Like, there's a lot of reasons I would do it, but I acknowledge that sometimes I'm protected by what seems inconvenient. Like, maybe it's a good thing. Like, back in 98, like, I know better now that, like, it was not a good time. So I shouldn't feel bad about that. Like, the only thing I can really feel bad is that I couldn't make the connection. But if I would have made the connection, see, he had the, like, his whole, so you gotta respect other people's karma, right? It almost seems like, he was going through this stage in his life that I just think is a silly stage in his life, which I want to mention a little bit. But I want to do this with respect. I don't really want to, like, laugh at him. Like, just like I don't want people to laugh at me, but try to laugh with people, because, like, you think sometimes people know better and they do shit anyways, right? And I can say that about myself. You'd think I'd know better than this, and I did it anyways. Similarly, if you think I'm crazy because, okay, I wanted to be with a guy that I thought I knew growing up. I thought I wanted to be with a guy that has good taste in music like my dad, and all these type of things. You could see why, like, I'd, ask me if this sounds like a good idea. It's not a bad idea, really. The only thing that would make it a bad idea is if this is like, um, an abusive person, like, I feel like really all he'd have to need for me is just, be somebody that's like, like my friend Rosie was, I feel like she was my love master. She taught me what to expect from um, your companions in life, whether we're just friends or anything better than that. You're going to be living in my house with me and being part of my daily life, no matter what your relationship with me is. Let's talking about my family. If I come to stay with my mom and dad, if I go to Colorado to stay with my friend Chris, I live at Bill Lee's house. I hope this is somebody, when I come through the door, they're happy to see me and they like me the way I am, and this isn't somebody that plays head games with me. That's all it would take, I don't have to be afraid to come home. This is somebody I can trust with my life. All of these things. And, it's that simple, but like, so to me, it really doesn't sound like a bad idea. The only reason it's a bad idea is if this person really doesn't like me. Right? The person really doesn't like me that much. Or they're mean. Okay, anyways, thought it'd be fun to share this. It's getting close to Valentine's Day. And I kind of want to iron out some of this love and mushiness. And again, I feel like, this visionary state experience, it kind of in itself contains, a lesson in love. And in my life, I feel like I haven't really been able to find a whole lot of luck with it, so I'm still single. But hopefully, now that I'm older, I'll be able to make good decisions if I do find somebody, that can let me, make me forget about Bill Lee, right? I say that in jest because, like, I don't really believe in marriage, and like I don't believe in the piece of paper and the whole. I really feel like the whole like romance and sex world is hostile and false, and that's where like I really appreciated that song Hatevol and the terminology. I'm very hateful. See, I don't hate love itself. What I hate is fake love, and I hate backwards love, and I hate all this cheesy romance and all this sort of like societal expectations and the whole fakeness of it. Because I feel like all I care about is like, so we have our truth. There's like truth in science, truth in this, but then you have your personal truth. Being true to yourself. This whole thing. What is real love? When you really love somebody, and it's not that fake love or that backwards love, right? So that in itself is a lesson in love. So I have yet to figure out, what all these visions are about, but it's definitely something that makes me think about what I would want, to feel about somebody. I think that if you're involved with somebody that closely, like if it's going to be like somebody you're going to be married to, spend the rest of your life with, hopefully this is somebody that, you do anything you can for them. It would be up close and personal. Everyone has problems, so you'd be willing to help them. Like Rosie said, I was telling her, I really feel like, yeah, I definitely feel like this is somebody I love. And she goes, well, would you pay all their bills, I'm like, well, I guess I would, if I cared about somebody that much, I would pay all their bills. I don't know. No problem there. Like, because you're going to, unless they're like a shisty person, and you're going to like waste your money, so some people take advantage of your friendship. You're going to give them money and never see it again. But, that's a good question. Are you going to pay all their bills? So this is, people need to do, like in general, I think that if you're thinking, don't look at like, because I feel like here's what society's training people to be like, so women are supposed to be like this, this reward, like this trophy, right? And so these women are kind of going out of their way to look good. So the guys want the smart and pretty girls, so some of them even getting a college education. But still, these women expect guys to have lots of money, so you want to find the nice guy with a lot of money, and he wants to find the high maintenance little princess bitch ass, and I hate this whole culture. I feel like that's why we have so many breaking up and divorcing, because you're looking for the relationship and not the other individual. And so I feel like that's the difference between me and a lot of other people out here is, so people want that trophy, people want the nice guy with a lot of money. I feel like I just wanted Billy, I was just trying to find this person that, You know, I feel like I must, you know them from somewhere. I feel like, you feel like you love that person on a deeper level. You feel like, you'd take care of them if they didn't have any money, or if they had a lot of problems, And not that I would want that, but, that's what I'm saying is you can't be selfish. This is something where, like, you're not looking at what I'm going to get out of them, but what would I give to that person is what I should be thinking. So, anyways, this is kind of where I, maybe have developed some of my values for the lucky man of the future, right? Anyways, I feel like this video contained a small confession, but it's one that I have to let go of because this is somebody that I'm probably never going to see again. And so now all I can do is kind of, I have to be able to kind of laugh at myself a little bit because I feel like I was foolish, And then the return, I'd like to share some of my humor in my next video. So you guys, I'll talk to you soon.